All right, so the exercise for today talks about how ratios can affect color. Yesterday, or the class before, was about taste. Now it is about color. Okay? So let's go ahead and go straight into the assignment. What they did today in class was that they had this nice little applet here, nice little applet, and they can open it up on Schoology or through Schoology for today's date. And this basically gives you an opportunity to take colors and mix them up. I added 2 blue and I'm sorry, 10 blue and 10 yellow. Now they're here by milliliters, so you can add by fives or you can add by ones. Okay. And in order to start, just like with regular water or regular stuff, if you mess up, you just can't take one color out at a time. You have to reset, you have to pour it all out, and then you have to start all over again. Okay. So if I'm looking up here, it says that the one batch of green paint or of green color, okay, uses 5 milliliters of blue and 15 milliliters of yellow. So I'm going to go here, I'm going to do 5 milliliters of blue, and I'm going to go 15 milliliters of yellow. Okay, so that's what they did at first. So this would be the baseline. Okay, the one on the right, the one on the left will be the one that we will be comparing everything to. Okay, so now let's go to the next one. The next one says, so number one, all right, add 20 milliliters of blue and 20 milliliters of yellow. But before we do that, it says, suppose you have one batch of green paint or green, and you want to make more. Okay, so this part here, this side here, it's going to be our experimental side. Okay, so I'm going to start off with one batch. Okay, I have one batch. Okay, so this is one batch, and you notice it's the same color. All right, it's the same ratio, it's the same color. So let's look at the ratio. The ratio that we're working with is the ratio of yellow to blue is 5 to 15. That is what we are going to be working with right now. The ratio to make this green, this particular color, is going to be 15 to 5, yellow to blue. Okay, so I'm going to start off with the same one batch of green, and then it says add 20 milliliters of blue and 20 milliliters of yellow. Okay, so we're going to take this one on the right and add 20 blue, which means I'm going to do this 4 times. 1, 5, 10, 15, 20. I've added 20 blue. And now I'm going to go up here. I'm going to add 5, 10, 15, 20 of the yellow. Now, if you look closely, they are not the same color. They're not the same color. One is darker than the other. Okay, so this is not going to work. So you just can't add the exact same amount to both sides in order for this to work, to have the same color, which means that this is now 35 to 25. Okay, and that's not going to work. Okay, it's not going to work because it's going to give me a different color. All right, so now let's reset and let's go to the second one right here. We're going to double the amount of blue and the amount of yellow. So let's go ahead and start off with our 15 to 5. Okay, and you've noticed at the top it says it's a match. So we want that word, it's a match, to happen at the top. Okay, so now it says double the amount of blue and the amount of yellow. So if I double the amount of blue, blue is 5. So if I double it, it's going to be 10, right? And so yellow is 15. So I need to double that amount. Double 15 will give me 30. Okay, 15 plus 15 is 30, or 15 times 2. We really want to multiply in 6th grade now. All right. So look at that. It says it's a match. All right. So that means that the ratio of yellow to blue is the same, is 30 here to 10, which means that they are equal. So this ratio is equal to that ratio. All right. So this will work. This one definitely will work. That one didn't work. Okay. So let's reset. And I'm going to do 5 and 15. All right, it's a match. Let's look at number 3. Number 3 says triple the amount of blue and the amount of yellow. Okay, so let's triple it. If we're tripling it, that basically means we're going to multiply it times 3. All right, so I'm going to take 5. I'm going to do times 3. 5 times 3 is 15, right? So I'm going to change that 5 to 15. And 15 times 3 up here with the yellow. 15 times 3 is 15 plus 15 plus 15. All right, so will give us what? 45. So I'm going to change this 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 40. Well, look at that. It says it's a match. So what does that mean for the next ratio? That means that the next ratio, I'm going to put 15 to 5 is equal to 30 to 10, which is now also equal to 45 to 15. All right, so it gives me the same color, so yes, it is a match also. All right, so now let's think about it. The fourth one says, okay, let's go ahead and why don't we mix? I'm going to start here. Why don't we mix a single batch with a double batch? Okay, so we already got a single batch now. This is already a single batch right here with the 15 to 5 ratio. So a double batch, we said a double batch was 30 to 10, right? Because 15 times 2 is 30. 5 times 2 is 10. Okay, so now we can say, all right, let's add them together. So I'm going to add 30 to the 15, right? 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. Now I'm going to add 10. I'm going to add 10 to the blue. 5, 10. Well, look at that. It's a match. All right. It is a match. So if I mix a single batch with a double batch, it's going to give me the same amount. That means the ratios are all what we call equivalent. Okay. So let's look here. I'm going to reset. I'm going to let's do the last one. Double the amount of blue and triple the amount of yellow. Okay, so let's see if this works. Double the amount of blue. So if I double the amount of blue, 5 becomes a 10 because 5 times 2. Oops. Uh-oh. I made a mistake. Okay. Okay. So if I double the blue, it's going to turn to 10. All right. Now, if I triple the amount of yellow, that means 15 times 3, we remember equals 45. So I need to change the 15 to a 45. Okay. Well, look at that. It says we cannot have, there's not a match. I don't see the words that say it's a match. So this is not going to work. All right. And then I asked them, well, if we're doing this right here, going from here to here, is basically something times 2. Going here to here is basically something times 3. So maybe I can make something a little, maybe I can make the color of the paint, make more than what we've had before, but still have the same color. All right, so let's try, 2, 3. Let's multiply this by 4 and see if it's equal. All right, I'm going to take this off because we don't know if it's going to be equal or not. So what is 4 times 15? Okay, we know 2 times 15 is 30. So 4 times 15 is basically double that. So that will be 60. And what is 4 times 5? 20. All right, so we want the ratio to be 60 to 20. All right, so let's do that. We want the yellow to be 60. And we want the blue to be 20. Let's see if it's going to give us well, look at that. It's a match. So this basically means that if we take a ratio, we can multiply it both. If we multiply both numbers in the ratio by the same number, every ratio that is created will be equal. And that's basically the lesson. So if we want to have a ratio and they want to double the amount of food or double the amount of cans of paint, you double or triple. You don't add, you just double or triple using multiplication, because we're in 6th grade. We're using multiplication to create equivalent ratios or equal ratios.